is the second of 2 qualifying races for the Grand Prix of Gravis City. The top 6 finishers will advance into the main race, and 28 cars start the race. Included are all the fan-voted cars, including the 2 cars on the front row. Marcus Leonard on pole, David Krikorian on the outside of the front row. These are the top 2 cars fan-voted in. Leonard, the only driver to get over half the fan votes. Frank Azure in number 46, and new driver in the Clockwork Racing entry, Matt Brinson. Anthony Griffith is in the inside of row 3, Robert Dorian on his outside. Romain Carpent driving Jacques Bouvier's car from France, and Daniel Lecleiter on the outside of row 4. Danny Savin, twice a Criollo winner. Darren Cardell in another Gessler, car 152. Jacob Eicholtz driving his own car, 464, and Keegan Mallory of Ireland in car 76. Red Butts makes his debut, the second of the 2 promoters' options, and Ebenezer Quiggles Jr., teammate to the pole sitter. Ryan Griffin, car number 57, lucky he didn't get a penalty for his lap 1 collision in the first qualifier, and Harriet Wallace. James Hewitt and Makoto Yamada make up row 9. 2 dark horses perhaps to make it into the race. Ike Durbin in car 58, and Vitaly Karpenko, car number 63, the Togliatti. Row 11, John Dilks in car number 29, still struggling with the course, and Joel Rodriguez in car 86. Joao Paulo Vidal in car number 78 had to rebuild the front end of that car. Craig Mummer in the Middle Tennessee car still struggling here. Mike Humphreys and Dalton Johnson are both having a pretty rough week so far. Hannah Percy and Ryan Matthews make up the tail of the field because both of them were sent to the back of the grid after their collisions in the first qualifying race. And here is the start, rolling start as you see. Marcus Leonard, great jump off the line. Leonard and David Krikorian smart enough not to create a big argument into turn 1. They keep a single file. Azure feeds into third in front of Brinson, and no, we didn't get through clean. A couple cars into each other in the back. Leonard in that kind of tomato orange number 999 car, and David Krikorian now doing battle for the lead here. Krikorian trying to peek on the right, maybe gonna throw it on the inside. No. Okay, let's see what was happening in the back. Percy, more aggressive driving as she roughs up Dalton Johnson, driving an old Clayson Enterprises car. Ryan Matthews continues his New England driving rampage as he just punts for Dalton Johnson in the 97 car. Anyways, here is the 211 car. That is Robert Dorian. Dorian has been showing some speed. Oh, Matt Brinson, the TM Lights hot shoe, the winner of the TM Lights race at Darlington, gets into Dorian a little bit. There's the 45 car. The last time this exact car was seen, it caught on fire the morning before the race that was supposed to start, which of course Bouvier was supposed to run this car for France. Romain Carpent and Tony Longstein bought it. He's going to make a move up. Oh, no, Lecleiter's there. No, Daniel Lecleiter's into Carpent. There's Danny Savin, and Danny Savin again. Lap 1 dramas involving him. Carpent, there's a lot of damage to that car, and Lecleiter's car as well. Romain Carpent maybe a bit too eager to make a move there. Here is the car number 99, Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. Hard to say whether or not he's a bit of a sentimental favorite to make it into the race because, of course, he did have those dramas with Hannah Percy in the Independence Trophy Dash as David Krikorian has a run for the lead, and he's going to get it. Here's the look at the back of the field. Got 5 cars in a pretty close quarters here. That we're looking focused on Karpenko, trying to work his. Now Karpenko, of course, made that awesome start in the Independence Trophy Dash. Not so much the case here. The Togliatti running last out of everyone without damage. Frank Azure, car number 46, is really kind of took me by surprise with this qualifying effort here. They did some work on this car, and it looks like they did everything right because Azure is Azure right now is looking pretty strong right now. That car looks pretty stable in his hands. Here's Red Butt Steel. This is one of the more colorful entries we've seen in some time. That brown and orange car chasing down Ryan Griffin, running 9th, and this is his first ever start. So I would really look out for car 111. We do understand they have a couple of promoters options lined up in the future. This is the Monkey Business car, so get used to seeing that's a name. Red Butts for you. Very colorful outfit, that one. David Krikorian, car number 04, is pulling away from Leonard. He of course won the round of Indianapolis. He is out to make a statement today, and he's doing that because he has already pulled out a big lead over Leonard. And I think, Mark, there's a big difference here between David Krikorian and Marcus Leonard's objectives. Looks like Leonard is content to just make it into the top 6, and whereas David Krikorian is is actually setting times comparable with the front runners. What the front runners that were already locked into the race and into the Grand Prix of Gravis City are already setting. Matt Brinson, car 25, working around the lap car of Danny Savin, as you saw DK work around him. Brinson a bit, whoa, no, Matt Brinson into the wall. He's put the Midnight into the fence. Of course, he is the new designated driver for that car. We're not sure how many races he'll be in this car. We understand he will be preserving his rookie status as Red Butts goes by. Oh, Brinson hits the wall again as they make the run down Carver Street. He's losing a bunch of spots here. And Clockwork Racing, of course, there's some suspicions that they like having Brinson around because of his abilities as a mechanic. Here's Quiggles Jr., the Sealander, making up some ground. Brinson tries to peek on him. No such luck here. Car 99, Quiggles Jr. trying to make his march towards the front after his late race incident, as I already mentioned. Here's Ryan Griffin. I cannot say how lucky he is not to have gotten a penalty and sent to the back of the grid for that rather dumb collision he had with Danny Savin after the Independence Trophy dash. Of course, Danny Savin had some expletive-laden things to say about Ryan Griffin, who is not exactly known to be the cleanest driver around. Keegan Mallory having a run on Matt Brinson, who is really, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of rear-end grip on the car 25. He's really sliding the rear end out in places you don't really want to be sliding the rear end out, and as you see, Mallory gets the pass done before they even get to the north end of the circuit here. Anyways, looking here at Jacob Eichholz, who currently holds the final transfer spot, which is 6th place, remember, not 4th. Of course, that's because Lynx Racing is not in attendance, and we'll probably get into more of that later. But Jacob Eichholz holding on pretty well right now. Harriet Wallace, car 223. Harriet Wallace making her first ever start in the series, having a run at Makoto Yamada in the 225 car. And Yamada doing a pretty good job of holding Wallace off, despite some really tough circumstances for the young Japanese driver. Leonard running second, and Frank Azure's keeping up with him. Last 2 laps by, Azure is actually a little bit faster. So I wonder if Leonard is holding it back a little bit, or if he's really giving it everything he's got right now. We're gonna have to wait and see. I'm not so sure. This is Marcus Leonard we're talking about. Here's Robert Dorian, who's running 5th. DK brings the field into the pits. Lap 9. Let's see if anyone's staying out another lap. Well, if Leonard pitted and Azure... Oh, Red Butts is staying out. Car 111 staying out another lap. He's gonna see if he can make it work. Ryan Griffin doing likewise. So Quiggles Jr., John Dilks. And looks like Cardell, one of the Atlantic cars, and a lot of the back markers are staying out another lap. See how much ground they have to make up. Azure, oh, Frank Azure. Oh, that was a little dicey. Bit aggressive merging from Frank Azure from the pits onto the track. Nearly took himself and Ike Durbin out, and that would have been very embarrassing for Azure. Think he's getting his composure back and lets the 58 go. Eichholz running behind Griffith in the 07 car. Jacob Eicholz's own team purchased this car off the team he attempted Indianapolis with. Ike Durbin, car 58. This car could be a bit of a... It looks like Ike Durbin is staying out pretty late, so we're going to have to wait and see where he cycles out. Here is Griffith again. There's Ryan Griffin in front of Anthony Griffith. So, Ryan Griffin's choice to stay out an extra lap. Looks like that might have paid off for him. Might have paid off for Ryan Griffin. And there you see right behind Eichel. It's not really closing in on the 07 car. Quiggles Jr. in the 99 car is also ahead of Robert Dorian in the 211. Very important there. As David Krikorian still holds, actually his lead is actually extended, would you believe it or not. So DK in this 04 car, he's running 126s, which is at absolutely staggering pace. He doesn't need to be going anywhere near as fast as he is. Quiggles Jr., he's got a straightaway lead there on Quiggles Jr., or on Leonard rather, excuse me. He doesn't need to be pushing nearly as hard as he is, but DK is definitely showing he does have the pace to be a series regular here, as Ike Durbin finally brings car 58 into the pits. He did a fuel run there, and I wonder, it looked like he's not so concerned about tire wear, but most of his competitors appear to be, that appears to be a big concern for most of his competitors, who pitted a lot earlier than he did. Leonard, the 999 car. Frank Azure is keeping up with him, and Leonard has dropped the hammer. He's picked his pace up by about half a second, and Frank Azure is just mimicking him and is keeping up with him. So the New Yorker, car 46, really, I think a big tip of the hat, because my understanding is that Marcus Leonard, a lot more experience, and has got a much better race car under him than what Azure's got at his disposal. So I think Frank Azure is going to look like a hero here if he's able to keep with Leonard all race long. Leonard's teammate, Quiggles Jr., one spot out of the final transfer position, which is Jacob Eicholtz in the 464 car. Robert Dorian in 8th has got some work to do. And Quiggles Jr. trying to make up. Here is Harriet Wallace, the 223 car, back in 15th place. As we get a better look at the paint job on that car, trying to chase down Yamada. There were reports of smoke from that car, but those reports appear to have dissipated. Here is John Dilks' bright green car, the 29 car. We're going to be seeing a little bit more of this car. And we might see a bit more of John Dilks, because my understanding is he might get a couple of runs in one of the Maximus cars later on this year. So that would be pretty interesting to see John Dilks in one of the regular cars, see how well he'd do in that car as opposed to the Masterson car. And Danny Savin has encountered problems, and that might be where the smoke is coming from, not from Harriet Wallace, but from Danny Savin's car. I don't know how any observer would get those two cars confused, but seen stranger things. Oh, Savin might have hit the wall, letting Dorian go by, and Quiggles Jr. makes a run on Eicholtz here, side by side. Oh, that's dicey. Quiggles Jr. and Jacob Eicholtz giving each other plenty of racing room, though. Good, clean battle down the front straightaway into turn 1. Look out, boys. Quiggles Jr. gets through. I don't think Eicholtz wanted to fight that any more than he had to, because Quiggles Jr. is a man on a mission. And Eicholtz, I think might have realized that he'd be on the losing end of that if he fought that any harder than he did. David Krikorian now lapping James Hewitt, who must have had a disaster of a... Oh, no! DK hits the wall! Oh, David Krikorian hits the wall after James Hewitt, who must have had an absolute shocker of a pit stop, and Danny Savin is still on the racetrack. I'm not sure why, unless he wasn't able to enter the pits that time by. Looks like that might have been the case. DK now having another run on James Hewitt, and I do believe no one-finger salute directed at the Englishman, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised if that was on his mind. The 04 car continuing to show his absolute dominance over the field today. He is the lead he has is grown substantially. Look, you can't even see Leonard in the background anymore. That's how far DK has pulled. Oh, no. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. He's slowing. He's got a puncture from that contact at the wall, probably. David Krikorian slowing on track. He brings it to a stop to let Leonard and Azure go by. And now he's fired it up again. Well, Marcus Leonard is now the leader of the race, and Frank Azure is gonna be right on his heels. So Leonard better pick it up. If he's got any more to give, he's got to do it now. Here is Jacob Eicholtz, who now holds the final transfer position. Mike Humphreys and Joel Rodriguez have quietly clawed their way through the field and are having a run at it. And remember, Mike Humphreys had the second slowest time. The only cars behind him were Dalton Johnson, obviously, and the two cars that were given grid penalties. John Dilks, car number 29, has worked his way all the way up to 10th, so he should be congratulated for that, if for nothing else. pretty good run for the Ian Masterson car, and Dilks is building up a bit of a train behind him. And that's Vidal, there's Red Butts, but Yamada back there has had a pretty good run through the field. Rodriguez now having a run at Humphreys. These two cars are trying to reel in Dorian, Ike, and Eichholz, and they might be able to get themselves in the race. Rodriguez didn't qualify all that well either, but he threw the dice on strategy, and so did Humphreys, and it's worked out so far, but they need to go a little bit further. Not able to get the run in on the zero. Whoa, Humphreys, big slide. Rodriguez sticks his nose in, there he goes. Joel Rodriguez, update, plates the veteran in his private Leonard. Great move there. And we got more pit stop action here. Leonard leads the field in. Azure still hanging with them. Frank Azure, I think, wants the extra monetary bonus that it is for winning this race. And Leonard is going to make him work for it. There's the 04 car, and I think there's so much suspension damage in that car that the 04 car, it's going to take him a while to repair it. And I think DK absolutely has to be gutted by that. John Dilks, car 29, in the middle of that pit cycle. Looks like he's being listed right now in 6th position, which is the final transfer spot. Looks like that's Johnson ahead of him on the track. Vidal behind him. And then Red Butts and company. It's the same crowd that he's been running with most of the day, and they've been working their way up through the field. Leonard, car 999, holds the lead still. Ike Durbin's car, the 58, is off cycle, who is running third a little bit. He's slightly off pit cycle. See if that'll work out for him. And Frank Azure's getting closer to him, actually. Frank Azure closing in on Leonard. Could he pull the upset here and steal this? Well, but look at how much power the Leonard has coming off some of these slower corners. But like around there on the north end of the track, his advantage closes up a little, dissipates a little bit. Karpinko, car 63, is actually the last car to make his final pit stop. He is still on track. He's listed as the leader, but he's not effectively the leader. Leonard still is, and barring something crazy, he's going to give up that lead fairly shortly. It'll have to be a pretty big accident on track. Whoa, Robert Dorian's got some cars ahead of him. Robert Dorian now is going to have some work to do if he's going to get himself back close to the transfer spot again. He's got Humphreys in front of him. Dilks is in front of him. Rodriguez behind him. That's Mummert up there. I think Mummert's a lap down. So he's got some work to do. Ike Durbin having a run at Frank Azure now. Is Azure going to fight it, or is Azure just going to let him go, figuring that he's not worth it? No, Azure's going to fight it. But Ike Durbin makes a pretty good move and gives Azure plenty of room. And there you have it. Ike Durbin, car 58, continuing to interfere with proceedings a little bit, but that is for position. Oh, whoa! Mike Humphreys, another big slide from that zero car. I think if they were making adjustments to that car, it hasn't exactly worked. Leonard trying to fight off Ike Durbin now. Trying to make sure that Ike Durbin doesn't exactly interfere with his battle with Azure too much. I think Frank Azure holding back to wait and see what happens. I think he remembers what happened between Ryan Matthews and Anthony Griffith at the Independence Trophy Dash. Oh, look at the 58 car skating around a little bit in the north end of the track. And Leonard holds on to the lead so far. See what happens to Ike Durbin in the 58 car. He's too far back to make a move here. And I think he's probably going to bring that car. Yes, he does. Yeah, so we got Quiggles Jr.'s teammate and his team owner, Marcus Leonard and Frank Azure. Meanwhile, Robert Dorian has gotten his way around Joel Rodriguez and John Dilks. I think he was already ahead of Rodriguez, but now Robert Dorian has got the final transfer spot here, and he's got a couple laps to hold off a couple of cars that are about a tenth or two faster than him. Good luck. Oh, Robert Dorian, the former Dash Cup champion. Look, he's swinging it wide, nearly knocking the walls down in the sugar-free alert car. sugar-free launch energy car. Rodriguez all over the back of him in this 211 car. Rodriguez, he's sticking his nose in, but Dorian shuts the door. Well, this is good stuff here. Good defensive driving by Robert Dorian. As you see, the scoring ticker on the left that says this is the final car on the podium at the moment, and that Quiggles Jr., I got it right this time, is going to be in 4th. And Ryan Griffin and Quiggles Jr. are not really pressuring each other all that much. They've got a pretty big gap in front of them and behind them, and these guys are smart enough, I think. Well, Ryan Griffin most of the time anyway. These guys are smart enough to not crash into each other needlessly. I'm going to get this wrong again, I guarantee it. Marcus Leonard and Frank Azure, on the other hand, have really turned it up. And Azure is still keeping up with Marcus Leonard. Whatever Leonard is able to do, he's picking up the pace, backing it down. Frank Azure is able to mimic that, mirror it, and he has really put the pressure on the much more experienced Canadian. Leonard has got a couple more laps to hold off Frank Azure. Meanwhile, Robert Dorian of England has got a couple more laps to hold off a very hungry John Dilks and a very hungry Joel Rodriguez. Rodriguez campaigned down and off in the series without a win, which is kind of surprising, to be honest with you, because Rodriguez, very good race driver, as is John Dilks. Looking off the back bumper of Anthony Griffith in 5th place. Let's see if we can see, there is Robert Dorian in the background. You can maybe see the little dot in the center. Which is why we haven't really talked much about Anthony Griffith in 5th place. Leonard and Azure still doing battle. Leonard's hit the wall! Leonard's hit the wall and Frank Azure's gonna go by! He pounces, he waited, and the New Yorker's gonna get it! Frank Azure to the lead as Leonard slid the car wide, trying to leave Azure behind him, but it blew up in his face, and there goes the 46, but has Leonard done damage to that car? That's going to be... Did he cut a tire like David Krikorian did? Doesn't look like it. His pace is still... He's picking it up a little bit, but Frank Azure, he doesn't have much of an answer for at the moment. Frank Azure's got a couple more laps, though, to hold on to this lead. No lap traffic in the way. Quiggles Jr. and Griffin are holding station. Not a whole lot going on back here with these two. Ryan Griffin and Ebenezer Quiggles Jr., 2 Independence Trophy entrants, could get their way in. But this is also the battle. The final transfer spot is still up for grabs. Dorian is still holding on for dear life here as Rodriguez, you can see Rodriguez pushing it hard to try to get the car 211. Dorian hanging on. We see how strong Dorian is at the north end of the circuit. John Dilks now in the 29, continuing to put pressure on Rodriguez as well. Dilks trying to get himself into the race. But these two have both got to get the 211 car. And is the 29 going to make a move? I think Dilks might think that Rodriguez is holding him up. He's not able to do it here. Here is Hewitt. James Hewitt, not exactly the world's best back marker at the moment, but the moment Anthony Griffith is in, as is what we saw in the Independence Trophy Dash, no hurry to pass him. So Griffith in the 07 had a pretty lonely 5th place. I don't think he's too worried about it because he's got a couple seconds between himself. Oh, wait a minute. 6th place might be catching Griffith a little closer than he thinks, but they're not going to get to him in time. Not unless he crashes here. And James Hewitt finally lets Anthony Griffith go. But, as I mentioned earlier, Griffith wasn't really exactly in a hurry. Quiggles Jr. now puts the pressure, is turning up the pressure a little bit on Ryan Griffin, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. Frank Azure, on the other hand, has held off Marcus Leonard successfully, and Frank Azure wins the final qualifying race over Leonard. But Griffin 3rd, Quiggles Jr. 4th. But let's see. Here's the battle for the final transfer spot. Robert Dorian. He's got it done. He's pulled enough away from Joel Rodriguez. Anthony Griffith 5th. Robert Dorian takes the final transfer position, and all 6 of them qualify for the Grand Prix of Gravis City. Commiserations with Joel Rodriguez, John Dilks, and everyone else who put up a valiant effort to qualify for this race, but were not able to. They still put on one hell of a good show, however. The next race, of course, is the main event, the Grand Prix of Gravis City. It's going to be a double points race featuring all of the stars of the TM Master Cup Series.